Thank you for watching. Dialed In is a project focusing on serving filtered coffee to specific flavor and mouthfeel targets. Dialed In is a journey divided into 7 parts. Our goal is to serve filtered coffee that has an extraction range between 20 to 24% and a concentration number between 1.2 to 1.4 total dissolved solids. This meets our goal of presenting a filtered coffee where the flavor is more developed and that flavor has a longevity thanks to the sufficient concentration that carries that flavor. In part 1, we will introduce ourselves to the important components of filtered coffee and previewing what's to come in parts 2 to 7. The origin is the first component, harvested and roasted with flavor in mind. Following is the water. It's key that its mineral composition is more suited for coffee extraction. The temperature we'll use will also play an important part. The third component is the extraction device. We'll be testing out several. Each will be filtered and has the ability to extract more evenly. The final component is the number of attempts. To reach our targets, we are committing to extracting this origin a total of 6 times. These components are part of our 7-step dial-in process. Underneath is a preview of what we'll be doing in each part. Through our 7-step process, we are looking for a recipe for service for this filtered coffee. This recipe will be a complementary balance of these components that has reached our targets and showcases this origin with developed flavor and a balanced mouthfeel. What we'll do next is familiarize ourselves with some important details about the origin, like the roast degree, how high it was grown, and what flavor sensation to expect by what method was used to remove the seed from the fruit. Here for your visual inspection is a close-up of the roast degree. This project we showcase roasters whose intention is to develop the seed to have complex aromas and flavors. Another important aspect to note is the varietal of this origin. It's pink bourbon, and the flavors associated is floral aromas, fruit acidity, and tropical sweetness. Another important factor is how high this was grown, how dense the origin will be. It was grown at 1800 meters, and the density will be at a medium. The final important factor to know is how the seed was removed from the fruit. It was depulped, fermented, and removed mainly with the use of water. So we can expect a clean and transparent taste in the coffee. After learning some key details about the origin, the next part is figuring out which water profile would be complementary. We'll be testing out 4 different water profiles. We'll use the simplified device. It's a filtered percolation, and we'll be using distilled water. It's a water that has 0 minerals. We'll be adding the minerals after the origin has been extracted. Our understanding for a suitable water profile for extracting coffee is based on this graph. What's important is having a balance between general hardness and alkalinity. Within the red zone is the area where the balance is most ideal. This graph was taken from the book Water for Coffee. We extracted this origin twice to reach 900 milliliters. We divided it into 4 beakers, 225 milliliters in each. Here are the necessary liquid minerals to bring this origin into the ideal water for coffee zone. We have calcium and magnesium chloride to add general hardness. For alkalinity, we'll use sodium and potassium bicarbonate. Here are the 4 recipes we are testing and the amount of minerals we added. We are looking for the profile where the flavor is distinguishable and vibrant, not muddled or underdeveloped. Comparing and contrasting the 4, recipe number 2 tasted the most complementary. In this shot, we're going to assemble recipe number 2. The previous exercise we took from Scott Rayo, and the liquid minerals we have been using are from lotus water. We are upscaling the recipe for 450 milliliters. Each drop equals to 10 parts per million. We're adding 2 drops of calcium chloride, which equals to 20 parts per million, 4 drops of sodium bicarbonate, which equals to 40 parts per million, 4 drops of magnesium chloride, 40 parts per million, and finally 2 drops of potassium bicarbonate, which adds 20 parts per million. We know what varietal the origin is and what flavors associated with it, how high it was grown, and what flavor sensation we can expect from how the seed was removed and dried. We also have now a complementary water profile to extract this origin. The next part is examining which extraction device would be complementary to this origin. The first device we're testing is Simplify. As we mentioned before, it's a filtered percolation device, where the hot water passes through both a bed of coffee and a filter. This device has the positives of less bypass because of its circular bottom and better heat retention from its plastic build. On the left is our extraction recipe. Our goal here in the beginning is to ensure all the grounds have been saturated. In total, we're doing 1 bloom and 2 pulse pours. We are extracting for an 8-ounce yield. We try to ensure a more even extraction by keeping an eye on our water stream, that we're not lassoing but maintaining a steady stream. As you can see, I'm pretty clumsy. We also rotate the device after every pulse to settle the slurry. At the end of the extraction, we're hoping for a flat, even coffee bed. After it has finished, we'll gather the extraction percentage and total dissolved solid number, and we'll prepare to extract with the next device. This is what we're hoping for at the end, a flat, mostly even coffee bed. The second extraction device we're testing out is the tricolate. It's a filtered hybrid percolation and full immersion device. The water and grounds are steeped together with the tricolate. Here's another example of my clumsiness. Like the Simplify, the tricolate allows less bypass and is also plastic, which helps preserve heat retention. Our extraction recipe will be slightly altered. The beginning will be the same with the bloom and rest period. Afterwards, we'll add the rest of the water, settle the slurry, and wait for the extraction to finish. We'll gather the extraction percentage and the total dissolved solids number. Here's both extractions, Simplify on the left and tricolate on the right. We are now ready to compare and contrast and see which device tastes more complementary. Here again is the recipe that we performed, the extraction percentage, and the total dissolved solids number we achieved with both. We'll begin analyzing the flavor and mouthfeel. We're thinking about which device lends itself to the origin. We'll ask ourselves, do certain qualities of one device complement the origin's flavor and mouthfeel more than the other? As you can see, we achieved different extraction percentages and total dissolved solid numbers. The tricolate extraction percentage is higher. The concentration numbers relatively stayed the same. The Simplify has an enjoyable clarity of flavor. The tricolate, however, has more layers of flavor that feels more complementary. We're thinking about which of these devices feels more of a fit for this origin. After comparing and contrasting, we'll be going with the tricolate. We now have a complementary water profile and extraction device. The next step is trying to reach our targets of 20 to 24% extraction and 1.2 to 1.4 total dissolved solids. In order to reach our targets, we're committing to 6 attempts. We again have the tools we need: the roasted origin, a complementary water profile, a kettle to adjust temperature, and an extraction device that showcases the origin well. In the first 3 attempts, we will make more significant adjustments. In attempts 4, 5, and 6, hopefully we'll be closer to our targets and we'll only need to make smaller adjustments. This is our first recipe that we're starting with. What's different from the recipe we did in our extraction device analysis is we changed the dose and the water temperature. The dose went from 17.5 to 17.25, and the water temperature increased from 210 to 212. On the right is our extraction method. What is key is that we saturate the grounds during the bloom, and we settle the slurry after we added the remaining water. Our goal again is to achieve a mostly flat, even coffee bed. In our first attempt, we were able to achieve an extraction percentage of 21.25, and our total dissolved solid number came out to 130. Our evaluation of this attempt is that it's slightly over-concentrated, but we're curious to see what it would taste like if the extraction percentage is higher. Our goal for attempt number 2 is to lower the concentration and raise the extraction. For attempt number 2, we lowered the coffee dose from 17.25 to 17. We kept the grind the same. we lowered the water temperature from 212 to 210. Since we wanted to lower the concentration, we first thought of lowering the dose. And since we lowered the dose, hopefully that will raise the extraction by a little bit or keep the extraction percentage the same. The result is a mixed one. Our extraction and concentration both decreased. The extraction does taste developed and the concentration feels very sufficient. We are still within our desired goals for flavor and mouthfeel. For attempt number 3, our goal is to raise the extraction towards the level of attempt number 1, while maintaining the concentration number that we just achieved. In our third attempt, we wanted to raise the extraction, so we adjusted the grind. We went from 8.7 to 8.6. We kept the dose at 17 and the water temp at 210. We were able to again achieve a mostly flat, even coffee bed. In attempt number 1, our extraction percentage was in a good range, but our concentration tasted too heavy. In attempt number 2, we lowered the dose and brew temp, and our extraction percentage and concentration were in a more flavorful and balanced range. In attempt number 3, we were looking to raise the extraction percentage, however it dropped. It's now the lowest of our 3 attempts. Our concentration, however, remained the same. The weight still feels sufficient. We will grade attempt number 3 as under-extracted but with sufficient concentration. Our aim for attempt number 4 is to raise the extraction percentage while maintaining our concentration number. In part 5, we have 3 more attempts to dial in this origin. Our last attempt, the origin was under-extracted but the concentration was in a good range. Our goal for attempt number 4 is to raise the extraction to 21% without affecting the concentration. The main adjustment we made is to raise the water temperature from 210 to 212. We kept the grind the same at 8.6 as well as the dose at 17 grams. We hope our extraction percentage of 20.20 will get closer to 21%. We were able to maintain our concentration number relatively the same. It went from 1.24 to 1.26. However, our extraction only increased minimally. It went from 20.20 to 20.75. Reviewing the taste and weight, the extraction still feels underdeveloped. Although the concentration increased, the weight still feels pleasant. For attempt number 5, our goal is to continue raising the extraction. What we'll do is a grind adjustment. We'll go from 8.6 to 8.5 and see what we get. Here's our recipe for attempt number 5. The dose, water temperature, water to coffee ratio is the same. What we adjusted was the grind setting. We went finer from 8.6 to 8.5. For attempt number 5, we were able to go in the right direction. We did increase our extraction percentage. It tastes now more pleasant and developed. It went from 20.75 to 21.51. However, our concentration number increased from 1.26 to 1.32. Analyzing the mouthfeel, it does feel now overweight and heavy. For attempt number 6, our final attempt, we'll try to maintain our extraction level but decrease the concentration. The adjustment we went for in attempt number 6 was lowering the brew temp from 212 to 210. We kept the rest of the recipe the same. We were successful in decreasing the concentration, however our extraction also dropped. Our concentration went from 1.32 to 1.27. The weight now feels more pleasant and less heavy. Although the extraction lowered, it is still within our desired target of 20 to 24%. The next part is tasting each extraction attempt, referencing our numbers and evaluations, and comparing and contrasting the flavor and weight. We'll deduce which attempt is more balanced and has more positives. Afterwards, we'll begin the next part, which is the aroma and flavor categorization. We have deduced the most complementary recipe. We will reveal which attempt had the more positives and was most balanced in the next part. What we're doing now is categorizing the aroma and flavor. While the origin's internal temperature is at its hottest, we will analyze the aroma first. At this point, the aroma compounds are more present. To capture the aroma, we'll both inhale and take several sips, utilizing our entire olfactory system in the process. As the origin's internal temperature lowers, we will begin focusing more on the flavor. For aroma and the flavor, we categorize them as a beginning, middle, and end. When we're first trying to categorize the aroma and flavor, we think in a broad/macro sense. We then try to categorize that macro descriptor in a more micro sense, but always with the intention that this description is what we feel this is in the range of. For aroma, in the beginning it smelled sweet and floral. In the middle there is a brightness/acidity, and at the end there is a juicy aroma. In our opinion, a micro-categorization of the sweet and floral would be hibiscus. The bright sensation is similar to a Yunnan black tea, and the juicy aroma at the end is similar to a watermelon. As the internal temperature lowers, we'll begin categorizing the flavor. We'll go about it the same way, thinking about the flavor journey as a beginning, middle, and end, and going from macro to micro. In the beginning, we taste the sweet sensation. In the middle, we perceive a bright acidic component, and at the end, we notice a sweet and juicy quality. Thinking about the origin in micro terms, the beginning tastes like a mixture of raspberry and strawberry. The bright sensation in the middle reminded us of a guava, and the sweet and juicy sensation at the end is similar to hibiscus and black tea. The goal of Dialed In is to present a coffee origin that has been more sufficiently extracted, complemented with a balanced mouthfeel/concentration. We have our flavor and concentration targets to guide our way. We went through 6 extraction attempts, we compared and contrasted each, we asked ourselves if we are in our desired range, and if there is sufficient extraction being balanced out with a complementary concentration. The extraction attempt that met these qualities, had the most positives, and stood out as the most balanced was extraction attempt number 6. Here again is the recipe for attempt number 6. Our extraction percentage is 20.99. It's on the lower end of our target range, but at this number it tasted the most sufficiently extracted. This coffee has met our targets and objectives and is now dialed in. This possibility of smelling and tasting a coffee with more profound aroma and flavor that's balanced out with a complementary mouthfeel is only possible when there is a meeting of like-minded groups. This extracted coffee is a seed from a fruit. The seed is a varietal with flavor characteristics. It was grown and harvested with the intention of preserving delicate aromas and flavors. It was grown by Linarco Rodriguez at his farm in Palestina, a region of Huila, in the country of Colombia. It was purchased by a roaster whose intention is to highlight the work of Linarco and develop the seed with flavor in mind, to a level where the aroma and flavor can be showcased. The roaster of this origin is La Cabra of Denmark. They roasted this origin on March 27, 2023. This project of Dialed In, our focus is on extraction, ensuring that we extract enough to demonstrate the flavor the farmer has planted and harvested, the flavor the roaster has developed, and the flavor only visible when we can sufficiently extract this origin and balance it out with a complementary mouthfeel. This project is in its early stages. This is the first of many origins we hope to showcase. Thank you for watching.